it's instant gratification people are looking for. They want, like anything else in their life, when they go to get something done, whether it's Amazon or sign up for a gym, you can do it instantaneously. Mm-hmm. And so the thought process with dating and love is it should be the same way. And so these dating apps created an avenue for that. And what it leads to is skipping all of the things that will actually find you a mate and going right to the very thing that won't do that, right? Which is hookup, just hookup culture.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Thrive After Dark. Now you may have noticed a lack of an episode last week. Well, that was intentional because we decided to slow down a little bit and take some time and really map out these episodes based on feedback that we receive from each and every one of you. One of the main topics that we keep getting feedback on is dating life. So we're going to talk a little bit about dating today, hookup culture, all the things that tend to come along with that. And we're going to dive into it.
Yeah. So Justin and I, obviously we met on Match.com, which was eons ago, and things have changed dramatically. And so we've got some Reddit stories that we're going to react to regarding the hookup culture in dating online. And before we do that, click the link below. We've got a jot form set up just for you. It's anonymous. We're not collecting your emails or phone numbers. We're looking for the subjects in which you want Justin and I to share with you our opinions on.
All right, so let's jump into the first story. So I used dating apps quite a bit in university and deleted them when I graduated and moved home a few months back. I re-downloaded Tinder because screw it, Valentine's Day is around the corner and I thought it'd be a laugh. I matched with somebody today and we had a good chat. Vibes were there and we made dinner plans. The end of the conversation goes like this. She says, "I'm really excited. Just one question." She then says, "Are you paying?" I say, "Is it okay if we split the bill?" Huh. I checked my Tinder about an hour later and she had actually unmatched me. I'm so fed up with Tinder and how shallow these interactions can be.
We have talked about this subject quite a bit. Our oldest son is 20. And so we're in the realm of him being a boyfriend and dating and, you as his dad talking about what a gentleman does.
What it means to be a gentleman and
yes.
to be chivalrous. And
yes. And especially, I think, being married to someone like me, I am 100% all about being a gentleman and chivalry, being alive in this world. So here's the deal. We are traditionalists when it comes to that. I do believe there's nothing wrong with going Dutch on a bill. I don't think there's anything wrong with a woman being the breadwinner and paying for the bill. I do think when you're looking to create an opportunity to date someone and get romantic, that these are part of the values and principles you're finding out. And so for her, what he found out is she is a traditionalist. She wants him to show up, show out, take care, and provide. He clearly does not really want to do that. He doesn't want to extend himself in some way, shape, or form for whatever reason.
Right. And this can go multiple ways. There's plenty of people with the opinion around that if I, as a gentleman, offer to pay, that I am somehow taking something from you as an independent woman.
Yeah, I just had a talk about this. Do you remember? Right? I came home saying, I just sat with somebody that said her thing is, if the guy doesn't let her pay, she's out.
Right.
And I said, well, okay, so you're going to keep finances separate. You want to be your own independent woman. You don't want to interchange it. She was like, whoa. I didn't say that.
Right. No, I still want him to pay for everything. I just want him to
be okay with me being independent enough to do that. So I can fully understand that. And hopefully on the flip side, you can fully understand a man or another party sitting across from you saying, yeah, but what I want to do is take care of this because that's the role I'm playing in this date.
Yeah. I mean, this is framed in the context of a first date. My opinion around it is if I'm asking you out on a date, or even if you're the one that asks me out and I say, yes, I want to do that, I'm paying, and it's not you don't have a decision. Here's how it would play out. Let's role play this. Let's pretend that the check's here and I go to pick it up and you're like, wait, I'd like to split it or I'd like to pay. The result that I would end up having in that is like, hey, no, truly, this is my idea. I asked you out. I really would be honored if I can pay for this bill. Mm-hmm. If you still take a stance of, no, I'd like to contribute, I want to pay, I would come to a compromise. Okay, let's do this. I will pay for this one. And on our next date, if you insist, we can go ahead and have you pay for that one. But for now, let me take care of this one.
I'm like, that's great. Next date, Wendy's, Frosties.
Well, no, truly, from a male standpoint, it allows me to understand like that would play into how I choose to order, where I choose to go. You know, I'm not going to be a glutton or anything like that. Whereas if I take you out, whatever you want, let's have it.
Yeah. I think it's a personal preference, obviously, for people. If you're me or you're Justin, we're much heavier on the more traditional route. And I don't think there is a right or wrong. I think it is a moment in time in which you're getting to know somebody and you're going to find out what it is they expect and desire. And you could be running the risk of losing out, right? And that's okay because this guy clearly wants to go Dutch. Maybe he doesn't have a lot of money right now. Maybe that's just the chapter of life he's in. And so going Dutch really helped him out. Maybe he didn't even have enough money in the account to pay for it.
Right.
I mean, we could tell a funny story. When we first met, I feel like I was doing pretty good. I had a couple jobs. And you were a police officer. And while your effort did not meet your income, you still had a solid job, a stable income. But I had 2 jobs. And so I think from a financial standpoint, I was just in a category of I could spend a little more money than you at that time. And I remember years later, you being like, girl, I maxed out my credit card just to get the suit I was wearing on our second date. And I was like, what? You did? But even so, your traditions were so ingrained in you, your principles and your values. Not once did I feel like you didn't want to take care of the bill or you couldn't.
Right.
And for someone like me that I've been programmed since the beginning of time that, you know, there's traditional values that I was brought up with and I like them. I prefer them. I haven't changed them much since. And I am an extremely independent woman.
And this does bring up something else that's prevalent in the dating culture today, which is it's almost what value can I get from this singular interaction? It seems to be increasing more and more. And what I mean by that is there are plenty of people that come to dates nowadays. And if it's not clear that they're not going to get the meal they want or things paid for them or whatever, they're out. And they have no desire to dig deeper and find out on a human to human level, can we connect? It's all measured based on materialistic output.
Yeah, I think in a moment like that, like the chick clearly has this defining moment for her to say, if he doesn't pay for the bill, he's not my kind of guy. And who knows what's happened in her past. Maybe she just got out of a relationship where the guy took advantage of her financially. And so now she's got this baggage and this wall up. You never know. So yes, be a little more mature, dig a little deeper, see if there's anything there worth discussing or coming to terms on and move on.
Well, like what would happen if they simply had a conversation around it? Instead of her just simply unfriending or unmatching him, I don't know because I've never used Tinder, just simply having a conversation. Hey, when this happened, it made me feel this way. Like, what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I think in today's world, everything's so fast, right? Everything's instant gratification. So it also works the other way. It's instant disappointment, and that's it. It's these absolutes that they're working in. So I don't know if there's a way to get the generation that's younger than us to think otherwise. But if they're open-minded and willing to communicate a little deeper than surface level stuff, I think it would be worth a shot.
Right.
Okay, let's go on to the second story. I decided to give Tinder a try for the first time just to see if I could find a good match. However, I was skeptical about its effectiveness and didn't really make much effort to connect with anyone. I exchanged texts with a few guys who seemed interesting, but I quickly grew tired of chatting with people who might not even be who they claim to be in their profiles. Risk you run no matter what. Eventually, I settled on one guy who appeared to have the most in common with me and agreed to meet for a date at a bar. Everything was going fine until he received a text message on his phone, and my eyes inadvertently glanced at his wallpaper. That's when I saw something shocking. It was a picture of me as his lock screen. Oh my, you guys are learning right alongside me. Right. Without hesitation, I ended the date then and there and never contacted him again.
Yeah. probably a good choice in that
Ooh,
circumstance.
that takes my breath away a little bit.
There's something called a red flag, and that is definitely it.
Yeah, here, let's just leapfrog over any trauma. I saw a therapist once in a bad relationship, and she said, a red flag's a red flag. It never will become green. That is, that's probably 1, 2, 3, maybe 10 steps too far. I mean, you're my lock screen, but we've also been together for damn near 15 years.
Right. I wasn't
think
the lock screen on date 1.
I mean, I don't think you were my lock screen until like year 5. So.
At least. Yeah. At least.
Yeah, that's a little overzealous. I would have done the same thing.
I can't really say any different. I think I would recommend anybody in that position to go ahead and pack up and head eastbound between the houses. And start hopping fences, get out of there.
Dye your hair blonde and
Yeah.
move to Mexico kind of thing.
You know, this is one of the challenges.
Let's talk to the guy. Let's talk to the guys out there, or maybe women out there that just get a little overzealous. They fall in love fast. They wear their emotions on their sleeve. They just feel so connected. They stalked them all over social media, which is what it's meant for, voyeurism. So we can't get mad at people for doing that. Now, with that said, leave it there. Leave it in the mind's eye. You looked, you did the voyeuristic thing. You're going to meet in the flesh and just see what's there, because what could have been potentially something full of a lot of romance and great passion, let's hope, it was a little too close to you, the series you. I would categorize this as awkward. I think in my younger years, I probably would have used the word creepy. What about you? You've been on a lot more dates than me, sir. So any creepy, weird, awkward, shocking first dates for you?
Shocking, no. Weird and creepy, yes.
No, nothing shocked you though.
No,
Okay.
nothing shocked me. So I used to work at Sears back in the 90s, selling sporting goods and lawn and garden equipment.
With your mama, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
She was in major appliances. That was way above my head, you know. So I was selling treadmills and riding lawnmowers. It actually was a really great job. I was 19 at the time. And in the shoe department, there was this girl, similar age, you know, cute enough, just an average girl. She seemed nice. And she would come over and talk to me whenever it was slow, and we would chat. And then one day, she always was just slightly socially awkward. So I never even viewed it in the context of like,
Romantic.
this is somebody I would be interested in. And she was bold enough one day to just simply ask me out on a date.
Okay.
But in a she was pretty monotone, and she was pretty lackluster when it came to facial expression and all that stuff. And she was like, so I was wondering if you'd like to go on a date with me.
Straight face, no emotion.
Yep, just like that. And I was kind of taken back by it. And
taking a bath.
That's funny. We can talk about that later. But so I finally, I'm like, oh, you know what? I really appreciate you asking. And that's so kind of you. I'm trying to dance around it. She's like, so yes or no? And I'm like, you know what? Let's do this. Like, what time is your lunch break today? Why don't we go get lunch? And so she lines it up, and we do that. And we go to a restaurant nearby, and we just sat and have one of the, quite frankly, most awkward lunches I've ever had. I was watching the clock, couldn't wait for it to end. I told her that my break was shorter than it was, so I can go ahead and cut it off.
Oh, man.
And went back to work and just started carrying on with my life. And it really ramped up from there. To the point that like I would be getting out of my car at work, and she would all of a sudden appear right outside my door, and I have no idea where she came from. I was trying to be kind and cordial, clearly not leading her on. And I ended up getting word that she was referring to me as her boyfriend
Oh.
to other people at Sears. And so finally it got to the point where I had to go have a direct conversation with her. Like, hey, you know, I appreciate the interest, and this is not something I'm looking at pursuing any further. You're a really great person. I just don't think we're a romantic fit, and that's okay. But I'm going to ask you to stop referring to me as your boyfriend.
What did she say?
She ended up quitting at some point, like within the week after that.
Oh, man.
But I mean, what else was I to do? It was one or the other. I could have quit.
I mean, things happen. Mismatches.
I took the high road. I literally talked to her as a 19-year-old. I talked to her the way I just said it. It took the high road, and I understand that probably hurt or stung a little bit, but it was definitely stalkerish behavior for sure. This is pre-social media, pre-cell phones, and all that, though.
Right. You're a dinosaur. I think I really only have one instance in my entire dating career, we'll call it, which is not that large of a time frame. I was on Match.com. It was actually my second date. You were my third.
I know exactly which one you're going to talk about.
Yes, the Night Ninja.
Night Ninja.
White tennies, Night Ninja. And halfway through our discussion, sitting in the same stool at the same bar in downtown Royal Oak, same bartender. And he tells me he's a night ninja. And I was like, what is that?
Is a night ninja. Right.
Please educate me. And he said, well, I protect ladies in the night. And I was like, prostitutes?
Right.
Wow. And he's like, no, anywhere at Royal Oak, Oak Park, Hazel Park. This was back before those areas were really sought after and worked for. He said and I, of course, I am a very curious person. So I asked like, well, what kind of women? Like, what are you talking about? Just women walking around shops, restaurants, just walking about. And mind you, I'd lived in Royal Oak now for 5-6 years and had frequented the bars and restaurants downtown. I'd never heard of any horrible things happening, right?
Because the Night
Ninja was protecting everybody. Right. I mean, noble acts, really sweet of him to want to help people in need, apparently. But then it didn't stop there. So that was, wow, okay, this is very interesting. Putting a peg in that. It was like a minor red flag. Like, that's a little different. And then he told me he also could dance like Usher. And I was like, oh, okay. First of all, I was born in the 80s. Usher's the man. And he's like, seriously, I can dance like Usher. I cut the date short because it's not adding up, right? We're Usher, we're ninjas. I don't even know what he did professionally. We didn't even get there. And I get my car from valet and he's walking me out and he's like, see? And he backs up and he starts doing some footwork. And I was like, wow. Guy comes with my car. I'm like, thank you for running so fast. Felt like he ran as fast as he ever could to get me my car. He comes in for a kiss and he's like slightly out of breath. And I straight cheeked it. I was like, boom.
Was
like, it was so nice to meet you.
Reminiscent of Usher? Was he Usher-esque?
No. Not. It would be like you saying, I
am not like Usher.
Sing like Justin Timberlake and dance like Usher. I'd be like, wow.
Yep.
Okay.
In your head, cool. You do.
You know,
yeah. Okay.
Big dreams. Yeah. So it wasn't, I wouldn't say creepy. It was different. It was interesting. It was very interesting.
Well, like you said, it's a story that you're, talking about 15, 20 years later.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing.
Lovely.
Okay. So third story. So I just tried one of those AI tools to create my Tinder images. And to be honest, some are really good. So I've decided to give it a shot. So since I've updated my Tinder profile, it's been crazy. What do you think? Is it okay for me to do this? What do you think girls are going to say when they see me? Keep in mind that this tool just makes me look good because it's really me. Quite impressed on what AI can do nowadays. This is a problem.
This is definitely a problem. This is, he says, what do you think? Is it okay for me to do this? What do you think girls are going to say when they see me? So I think, just incorrect, wrong, this don't do it.
Pure definition of catfishing.
Yes. And while, yes, it was composed off of an image of you, we all know that it makes you into whatever you want. You want to look like a wizard, it turns you into that. You want to look like a bodybuilder, a warrior, a unicorn, like it can do some miraculous things. It has gotten so bad that today in our business, we take headshots for professional realtors all the time.
Yep.
And our content media manager, Ryan, will come to me every so often and be like, oh my God, Jess, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm taking these photos the same way I take every photo. And sometimes people they want retake after retake.
They're professionally edited
retake.
photos. They're what you would expect from a professional headshot.
Yes,
right?
It's a professional headshot. But what has happened is filters are so prominent in our lives. People don't even take photos with their camera app on their phone anymore. They take it through IG or Snapchat or something that has some sort of filter. And so they never even really see the real version of themselves. So then when they get this beautiful photograph of their real face from us that we prefer they use in their marketing and on their business cards, they're like, this is the worst photo of me that I've ever fucking seen. And we're like, no, that's actually you. You look beautiful. That's how you really look. And so we've started to have to preface. We even had a conversation the other day with a couple of our agents saying, hey, just so you know, because everybody gets a little insecure. Everyone doesn't, no one wants to look at their crow's feet or, their blotchy skin or whatever. We get it.
Well, and all that
we're
stuff
right there
is
with you.
edited out appropriately.
It doesn't delete it. And
Right.
people are looking for it to be deleted,
Right.
their lips to look
And
a
their
little
face no
fuller and
longer
their
be
face
theirs.
to be a little fuzzy. And so what we say now is like, hey, this is not an Instagram photo. This is a professional headshot. You're not going to have the filters applied to this photo. And if you want to take this photo and do those things to it, you can, of course. However, we do not recommend that at all. We won't be using your touched up photo for the work that we're doing. And here's why, dude that just wrote this story on Reddit. Because when girls show up to see you and you're not the AI version that they fantasized about, that they imagined going on a date with, it's game freaking over. It's no different than when we sell houses. If we make a house look miraculous online and we enhance it by playing with the lighting, deleting certain things that are in the image,
virtual
staging, and it is like the creme de la creme of photos. And then the buyers walk in and it smells like smoke and there's cat piss on the carpet and there's a rug in the living room that you never showed online that's just hideous and you can't stop looking at it. Again, screwed. People choose with their heart and they justify with their mind.
Right.
And so if they're showing up and you're not AI, they're done. That's it. You've lied to them. They're uncomfortable. Their emotions are kicking in and it's game over. So delete the AI, frame it and put it on your desk so that you can revel at how amazing you look. But outside of that, you got to put what's really you out there.
So I actually had that happen at one point during Match.com, early on in Match.com. This is one of the ones that caused me to be kind of frustrated and be like, I don't know about this. I can't remember who she was, name, anything like that. We had talked a few times and her photos online were pretty attractive, but they very clearly were, back then it was more like glamour shot type photo editing, and something just seemed off about the photos. And so after talking for, I don't know, a handful of times, I was like, hey, do you have any other photos of yourself? Because she opened the door and asked for additional photos of me. So I was like, sure, went ahead and provided some and more recent. And I used recent photos anyway. And she sent some to me she initially sent some that were super edited again. And I'm like, do you have any just like candids? I'd love to see like.
Do you have any of you on the couch right now?
Or just like any other photos. I was trying to get like, show me the real you. And when I finally did, she's like, well, this was last week. It was not the same person. Like it was the same person, but it was not the same person. It was
see, even
difference.
how like, look at how much that was melted in your mind of disappointment.
Well, and she knew. That's why she was dragging her feet on providing me any kind of anything. Like she wanted to go out on a date. And quite frankly, I wasn't going to waste my time when I had this underlying feeling that something was amiss. And so I just was looking for proof. And when she provided me that, I'm like, okay, I see now what's going on. And I just wasn't interested in playing games.
Yeah, there's someone out there for everyone. And I think physical attraction is a part of that. And so if you mess with your physicality and that's not actually what you look like, it's just never going to lead anywhere you actually want. right? I understand the idea of it. The concept is, well, they'll get to know me and they'll love me and they'll forget that I was this warrior god online through AI.
Nobody's ever going to show up to that date and be like, "Oh man, you got me. You got me
You're
good.
so good. You
and I'm
use
going
that
to give
AI
you a
like
shot.
a mother."
Let's see what you got."
I agree.
It's always going to go
Yeah,
bad.
delete, don't use it. Put your real photos up there. If you want to add a tiny filter to elevate your look,
whatever.
fine, but don't go too far with it, because there is nothing more disappointing to humans than walking up to something that you were expecting to be one way.
You in a room, that's a problem.
Yeah. We run into this a lot in our industry. One time, Justin and I were in a conference, a huge conference. I'm talking 7,000 people, I think, were there.
At least, yeah.
And just someone in the industry that's been in the industry a really long time was taking stage to bring all the value that they have achieved over decades of work. And they put this person's like business profile pickup on the screens, right? So, there's probably dozens of screens
Massive
showing.
screens.
Huge.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, okay, so this person's going to come out. They walk out onto stage, and what Justin and I experienced, we still speak about to today. The gas.
The entire room.
It was palpable.
In unison, gasp. Like
it was like, because it was such a stark difference from what was on screen to what arrived on stage. I'm talking 20 years difference.
At least.
Minimum.
There's no way that
no
you would
resemblance.
ever said, "Oh yeah, these are definitely
Never.
the same people."
Never. And still today, that is
That same
still
photo's
going
still
on.
used.
That's the same photo, yeah. So we run into this quite a bit in sales, where people want to put their best foot forward, their youthful look, they're clinging to the good old days. And we understand, especially, oh my gosh, in the day and age we're in right now of voyeurism and everything being so surface level. I get it, but don't do it. Don't do it. It's just disappointing when you actually go to have those real life experiences on every level, friendship level, business level, romantic level. It's just all in all a sad situation. What do you think it would be like to be a single guy today?
I'll be completely candid. I feel like I would be a little lost. I would maybe try a dating site. I don't know. Just because they're so common. I think you're more likely to find progress in meeting people on a dating site now than if you try to go out there into the world. That's where a lot of
I think people would think it was bizarre if you approach someone at a bar today. Whereas when we were dating,
that's what you did.
That's what we did. Like
right.
Women approached men approached women approached women, like whatever. It doesn't matter the sexual connotation of the relationship, but people approached people. That's how it happened. And then you sent flowers, and then you were like, hey, I'm going to be here with my friends.
Courting. Yeah.
There was so much courting. It was amazing.
But yeah, to round out answering the question, I think I would spend some time just feeling lost. This is not the world that I remembered. And so I'd have to acclimate. I don't necessarily know what direction that would take me. I don't know if I'd get fed up with it and be like, you know what, just not going to do this for a while until I eventually run across somebody more organically. I have no idea. What I do know definitively is I would feel like a fish out of water.
Yeah. I think if I were dating today, which is so funny to try and put yourself in that position, right? So I see why you were going there like, well, I would take time to myself. If I were dating today, I think I would go through like a referral network. That's where my mind would immediately go, is I'm going to talk to the people that know me, that I love, that I trust. And if they don't know anybody in this world that they could link me up with, then I'm just going to let the universe do its thing. I don't think I would go on a dating site.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't at this point in my life. And granted, I'm a mom. I have 3 kids. I have a full-time career. So I don't think I have as much time to dedicate or desire just to a dating site in the way that it's being done today. Even when we were on it, Match.com, there were still weird, raunchy things. Like we didn't even talk about the, messages that either one of us received from other people. This stuff was still going on back then.
Right.
It was half the reason you and I were pen pals for 3 weeks is because I was like, these fools out here, they want the size of my panties and my phone number. Like these were the requests I was getting. And when it came to you, which was my last and final straw, I was like, well, let's see what he's got. I want to see if he can write, spell, make me laugh, and just hold himself in the space of getting to know me without my phone number, without a phone call, without meeting me. And we did that for 3 full weeks. It was pretty romantic. It was like very Notebook style.
It was.
Yeah. So I think the issue with dating today that we have beat to death here is that it's instant gratification people are looking for. They want, like anything else in their life, when they go to get something done, whether it's Amazon or sign up for a gym, you can do it instantaneously. And so the thought process with dating and love is it should be the same way. And so these dating apps created an avenue for that. And what it leads to is skipping all of the things that will actually find you a mate and going right to the very thing that won't do that, right? Which is hookup, just hookup culture. And while those things are very important, it's like the notion, and this is definitely going to ruffle some feathers, of try before you buy, whether you're into that or not, physical connection is important.
It's important.
However, what can people do today, in our opinion, in our thought process, to meet other people that really allows them to get to know one another?
Well, I think you have to start with being clear on what you want. You know, if what you're looking for is just simply something casual, then you're going to find it in abundance in the places you know to look. But you can't go look in those places if you're looking for something more than that and then be surprised when you don't get it. It's like if I'm looking for, you know, somebody who's tall, I'm not going to go hang out with a bunch of gymnasts and jockeys and complain about the fact that I'm the tallest person in the room. Like, it just doesn't work that way. So you have to be clear on what you want. And if what you want is more long-term, then you got to put your efforts into the avenues in which would actually allow you to find that.
Yeah.
And
I like that, because that was a huge recipe to what I did before I met you. I was crystal clear on what I wanted, what I could offer, which was, I felt extremely important, because your ego can get in the way and you can think all day long, like, I'm the perfect mate for anybody. I'm a good match for all, which is bullshit. We know that's not true. So really get clear on what you're great at offering. Like, what are you bringing to the table that you know is beneficial to the person that you believe is a match to you? And what do you not? What are your non-negotiables? Like, I obviously had some non-negotiables. I was a package deal. I had my own home. I wasn't looking to, you know, intertwine my life with somebody right away. I needed somebody who wanted to put in the time and put in the miles to see if this thing was worthy of going that far. So crystal clarity on who you are, what you have to offer, and what you are really seeking in the other person that you believe aligns with your principles and values. And you might deprioritize physicality. You might prioritize humor. Like, it depends on your life experiences and what you're looking for short-term and long-term. Is this something short-term? If it's short-term, go chase that booty. That's what they're for. That's out there. It's everywhere.
Booties are meant for chasing.
Then you chase it. You do it. If you're looking for long-term and you're looking to settle down and someone to build a life with, you're going to want to get crystal clear on what you want that life to be and what's meaningful to you. So I like that idea. But where do people find these people?
Yeah. I mean, I guess, so my advice, if somebody's looking for something more long-term, is they have to, besides, once they're clear, they have to decide who they are intending to be for the rest of their life. And probably the best place to look is in the places of, like, if you have specific hobbies that are unique, or if you have specific beliefs that are important to you, those are the communities in which you should be spending time in to find your ultimate soulmate. Because that 1 degree of connection, that 1 degree of commonality is likely what the relationship would ultimately be built on. And if it's something that's incredibly important to you, it's probably going to be something that would cause a problem to have to compromise on later on down the road. So I'll use religion, for example. If religion is incredibly important to you, then it's probably important that you spend time around other people with like-minded views that live life similarly to the way that you want to in order to find the right person for you. If religion's important to you and you're going on, you know, to house parties and random hookup sites, you're not likely to find another highly religious thinking person.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah. So go where there's alignment in your extracurriculars, in your career aspirations. Go there. Right. And I'm not saying go meet the love of your life at work, although I'm sure that can happen, but go to those rooms, those gatherings, that kind of thing. I'm sure there's online stuff that you can find around your hobbies. I think just take any of your extracurriculars. So let's say you're into health and wellness, you're into running, you're into fishing, you're into building stuff and crafting. Start looking around your town, your area of places that are holding those types of social outings. And today, I have never seen so many community groups popping up. I think the global pandemic did a number on us humans, and we are desperate to make sure community is always at the threshold of what we do in life. And so there's no shortage of community opportunities out there to jump into. And it's something that's hard for our youth to do. We experience this with our own son who's like, yeah, I get it, Mom. I'm not going to go join a CrossFit group though. I'm not into it. I don't want to do that. And I go to a gym and I love my gym, but it's not comprised of a bunch of 20-year-olds. So now what? And not that he's looking to date. He has a fabulous girlfriend, but from even a socializing standpoint of meeting new friends, if you're not in college, how do you do that? So I think getting over your fears and insecurities and putting yourself out there and walking into a room where you know nobody is important to do. The only group of people we haven't gone deep on is that young love. So as parents, how do you help your children through this process and not push them towards social media and these kind of, like we were talking about, catfish or cloak and dagger situations? I think keeping our children busy in this day and age is important, and not busy with frivolous things, really being thoughtful about finding what sparks interest in them in that given moment, even if it's not a forever thing. Exactly.
Because their worlds are structured nowadays that it is almost designed to rip confidence away from kids. Their self-doubt, their self-image is they're constantly having to compare themselves to other people who are not actually genuinely what they present. And there's this belief that they're less than. And so that's the environment that they live in. And so they are fearful. They tend to not want to join groups or try and create new friends unless they can be voyeuristic long enough that they can answer the question of, is this safe?
Yeah. And I think that transforms. Obviously, we coach and manage dozens of adults. And so it definitely stays with you for as long as you allow it to. And I think the best way to combat that is, one, keeping them busy with things they're interested in constantly, which is work on the parents. Two, the language you use at home with your children is critical. I am constant in rewiring my children's thoughts around negativity or insecurity. They go to bed hearing that they're kind, they're thoughtful, they're cared for, they're loved and cherished, and that they're making a difference in this world. It is the one thing we're talking about right now that we're looking to dispel in our children, which is fear of all the things, because they have access to so much and they can't compute it. And the comparison piece takes over. So at the dinner table, we now say, hey, please share with us one area of your day in which you solution seeked. And this is our way of saying, how did you use your critical problem solving skills? Because if you're a critical problem solver, you will go so far in life and you will always have a job to do. You will always have people that can benefit from the value you bring to the table. And even our 7-year-old, our first grader who just turned 7, at first he's like, I don't know what that means, like immediately shutting it down. And as soon as we started to compound, well, remember today, Joey, we were at the condo. We have a communal laundry room. So we're in the communal laundry room. I came up with this little cart system, which, thank you, MacGyver Jess. And when you go with the amount of laundry we had this time, it's like piling up. It's getting bigger and bigger. And Joe's there with me. He's helping me. You got to carry this cart, over some bumps and around some corners and down the elevator and back up into the condo. And you got to lift the thing up. I've got nails. So, it's a whole thing. And so he's sitting there in the laundry room with me and he goes, Mom, I think what we could do when we get down to the condo is we should take the baskets off the top, bring the baskets in first, because those are the heaviest things. And then the two of us will lift the cart into the condo together. And if it's still too heavy, we'll take the Arm & Hammer laundry detergent out from the bottom, because that's the next heaviest thing. And I was like, gosh, I didn't even say anything about the
logical
laundry
problem
being
solving,
heavy,
yeah.
but he was already problem solving immediately upon seeing, wow, this is looking like this could pose an issue in the future. And so we brought that up to him at dinner, like, hey, remember when you were solution seeking in the laundry room? And we share with him, huge smile comes over his face. And he's like, oh yeah, I did do that. We're like, that was a great solution he came up with. And he's like, but we didn't use it. I'm like, we didn't have to, but if we needed to, it was already planned out. So thoughtful of you. And he walked away being like, gosh, I mean, he might as well have been flying away from the table. He was so proud of himself. And that's something you and I try to instill, is their own pride in self.
Right.
Like, I'm worthy. I do great things. So I think that's an important piece to parenting today, especially, I mean, we went down a rabbit hole there, but confidence, competency, and learning that they have value and they're worthy of great things, I think will lead to a much better progression in their dating life and romance when they're old enough or currently doing that. You know, boundaries, not being dependent on one another, and being able to recognize each other for who you are, not needing to control every situation, is really important too, I think, in a combination of romance.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge, whether it be we have teenagers looking to date or young kids that we're looking to raise in modern society, is that we have to teach our kids find a way to teach them to have and build self-confidence and a sense of self-worth internally, as opposed to needing that as an external stimulus, I guess.
Yeah, the intrinsic approval versus the extrinsic.
Yep. One of the things, I heard a story, I don't know who she was. It was a video of a woman speaking on stage in front of a large group of business owners. She was talking about failure and her perception of failure, and something her father did a long time ago for her. As she grew up, her father would actually celebrate failure every single day with her and her sister. So he'd come up and like, hey, so what did you fail at today? And while that, to the mind, it sounds very negative and a pessimistic approach to the conversation, the result was incredible, because they would end up saying, well, nothing. And he's like, I'm sure you failed at something. You know, what did you try and it didn't work out, or whatever it may be? And once they found something, he would literally celebrate it, cheer, high five and all that, and then move on with the day. Wouldn't stop to critique or, figure out, did you solve it correctly, or what else could you have done, and dwell in that quote unquote failure. What he was doing was rewiring in her brain what it meant to fail. It changed it from a negative thing in her mind to a positive thing, because it represents opportunity of growth. And it allowed her to grow up very confident and just headstrong, knowing that she can face failure, and she wants to, because that's where she's growing.
Yeah, I love that. It's the same concept as there really is no failure. There's only feedback, which is what he was instilling in them, is, what did you do wrong? And essentially, where'd you go with it? And by isolating it, talking about it, celebrating it, you're really reframing the brain to congratulate you about a lesson you learned today. It's amazing. So that's a wrap on hookup culture and everything in between. We hope it was helpful for you today. If you have any questions or comments about today's podcast, please hit the link below, fill it out, and we will answer it on the next.
All right, before we sign off, would you mind doing me one small favor? Hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next week.